instead of calling me Mark K, today you should probably refer to me by my new name, 100K. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. Oh, what happened to the music? Oh, no, I was so excited. I cut off the music prematurely. That's all right. You know what? I can bring it back. There you go. 100,000. We hit 100,000 last night. This is amazing to me. And I believe this proves my point. We went live yesterday at around, I don't know, it was like 7 o'clock, 7:30 maybe, because we were getting dangerously close to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we went live and we stayed live until, of course, we hit the 100,000 on YouTube. And now we're at 100,586. So I'm going to be honest with you. I believe that my theory that once you hit 100,000, you come over some kind of algorithmic hump. I believe that that's accurate because I did not expect to wake up with an additional 586 subscribers. I don't know if it's that mob mentality. I don't know if people are like, oh, this guy's got 100,000 subscribers. Now I got to follow him. But it appears that that was always my suspicion, and right now it appears to be correct. If you weren't able to join us last night, man, we had so much fun. It was a blast. It was impromptu, and my wife was so funny. She was waiting outside the door because I go, I'm gonna go live for a minute, and I came in, and I closed the door, and like an hour later, she comes in, she goes, I was listening through the door. I didn't want to come in and interrupt, but I feel like I should have come in and dumped like a bucket of confetti on your head, and I was like, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. That's actually 100K instead of just okay. But now you know what she's doing? She's planning the 1 million celebration. So we got to get on that. She's going to get the gold balloons. We're going to have a big party. We may even do, I'll be honest with you. When we get to 100 million, when we get to 1 million, I'll do a live event. We'll get a big stage going. We'll make sure that we're all, it's tough to time those things. That's the only problem is like we could schedule it, but it's really tough to time that kind of thing. Anyway, I appreciate all of the folks who jumped in yesterday and were watching live and everybody who subscribed to this channel. And I'll shut up about it now until we get to like 999,920. I'll shut up about it. I'll shut up. But definitely, if you're not one of the 100,000 people who subscribe to this channel, make sure you subscribe right now because on YouTube, on Rumble, on Facebook, on X, everywhere, we are going to continue to just build and grow. And where it'll stop, nobody knows. We're like I said, because now I've tasted fame. now that I've tasted the sweet smell of the 100K. Oh, and my silver button. That's my daughter. Here's the thing. And again, I'm going to get to the news. I promise. There's going to be there's an insurrection in Minneapolis and Donald Trump's going to declare martial law and cancel the election. I'm all for that, by the way, but I'll get to that here in just a minute. But I have to tell you this one thing. So after it happened, my daughter, who is all of 17 years old, soon to be 18, she's upstairs and my wife comes in and we're jumping around. We're talking about all the stuff. And my wife goes to my daughter. She yells at my daughter and says, guess what? She goes, what? And she goes, Daddy just got, because they call me Daddy. Who's your dad? And that's my name. She goes, Daddy just got 100,000 followers on YouTube. And my daughter goes, oh, yay, congratulations. That's so cool. And then get this. And then I said to her, that means that I get a silver play button. And then she lost her mind. Then she was like, what? I totally forgot. Oh my God. Like now I'm cool because I don't know a lot of dads at my kid's school that have silver play buttons. In fact, I'll be honest with you. Now that I think about it, I may be the only dad in my kid's school that has a silver play button. I don't have it yet, but when I get it, I think that's something that not every kid can say that. Some kids are like, oh yeah, well my dad owns his own company. And some kids are like, well my dad drives a Mercedes Benz. Some people are like, I have two dads, right? So there. But that's actually, there's more of those than you might imagine at my kid's school. But and then or some kids are like, I don't have a dad at all. But then there's but I don't think there's anyone. I think there's very few that could say my dad has a silver play button. So she was really excited about that, and I think I became a little bit cooler yesterday in the eyes of my children, which is really what life is all about, isn't it? Isn't that really what life? I think it is. No word yet on how to get my play button, but I'm going to make sure that 100% it comes in. I'll start just complaining if it doesn't yet. Anyway, listen, Donald Trump is about to create havoc in Minnesota. Okay, the havoc has been created. Here's what happened yesterday. There was another shooting by an ICE agent, an ICE officer in Minnesota of a person. This person, however, was not an quote unquote innocent mom who was just out for a drive with her lesbian friend. No, this was an actual Venezuelan illegal alien criminal who was being, what are you saying? What am I trying to say here? Who was resisting arrest and attacking an ICE officer. But that's not even the worst part. They go to arrest this guy who's an illegal alien thug criminal who doesn't belong here and should be deported and will be. They go to arrest this guy. He takes off in a car, drives recklessly and dangerously through the streets of Minneapolis, crashes into a pole. ICE agents bum rush him. They start chasing him down the street. And then when he gets into fisticuffs with the ICE agent, two dudes, I guess they were dudes, I don't know, run out of a nearby house with shovels. And instead of subduing the illegal alien thug immigrant, they start beating up the ICE agent with shovels. And if you're like, Mark, hey, that's crazy. That can't be. I have for you the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security.
Just says at 6:50 p.m. Central Time tonight, quote, federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop in Minneapolis of an illegal alien from Venezuela who was released into the country by Joe Biden in 2022. In an attempt to evade arrest, the subject fled the scene in his vehicle and crashed into a parked car. The subject then fled on foot. The law enforcement officer caught up to the subject on foot and attempted to apprehend him when the subject began to resist and violently assault the officer. While the subject and law enforcement were in a struggle on the ground, two subjects came out of a nearby apartment and also attacked the law enforcement officer with a snow shovel and broom handle. As the officer was being ambushed and attacked by the two individuals, the original subject got loose and began striking the officer with a shovel or broomstick. Fearing for his life and safety as he was being ambushed by three individuals, the officer fired defensive shots to defend his life. The initial subject was hit in the leg. All three subjects ran back into the apartment and barricaded themselves inside. The attacked officer and subject are both in the hospital. Both attackers are in custody. This is another attack. This attack on another brave member of law enforcement took place while Minnesota's top leaders, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, are actively encouraging an organized resistance to ICE and federal law enforcement officers. Their hateful rhetoric and resistance against men and women who are simply trying to do their jobs must end. So a very lengthy statement there, Sean, but it sounds a whole lot more complicated than what we initially had, that this was one person involved with a shovel. It sounds like ICE was going after a Venezuelan illegal alien who had been caught and released at the border by the Biden administration in 2022. That person crashed into a parked car, got out and fled. ICE was chasing him down, and then while they were wrestling on the ground, two people came out of a nearby apartment and then started attacking the ICE officer with shovels. And during that ambush attack, that is when the officer pulled out his weapon, fired, and hit one of the suspects, who again is stable. So it sounds like the suspects are in custody, and this is being described to Fox News from DHS as yet another attack on ICE officers in Minneapolis, Sean.
That is, by the way, the most Minnesota thing. Attacking somebody with a shovel, that's like, hold on, I can put my hat on. That's like the most Minnesota thing I've ever heard of. Only in Minnesota. Well, I guess not maybe only Minnesota. Probably in like, there's probably other states that I'm thinking, but only in Minnesota would you come out and start beating up an ICE agent with a snow shovel. Harv, get the snow shovel, eh? The ICE agent's beating up a Venezuelan outside. Okay, hey, I'll be right there. And then they come out and they see an ICE agent. I mean, here's the other thing too. You see a federal agent, an ICE agent, armed with a gun, with pepper spray, with handcuffs, with a bulletproof vest. You see them trying to apprehend somebody who clearly, I mean, look, I'm not saying we should stereotype, or I'm not saying we should racially profile, but clearly, you know, it's not the innocent white lesbian mom from last week. This is clearly a Venezuelan immigrant, or some kind of Latin American immigrant, that they're in it. You know, something's going down here. This law enforcement officer is clearly getting attacked by somebody who probably is illegal. So what do? You get the snow shovel. And that's so Fargo. I guess that's North Dakota, really. But that's such a, I mean, it's just like, you couldn't write this kind of thing beaten with a snow shovel and a broomstick. So what happens? The ICE agent shoots him in the leg. Now, here's the other thing. Chaos ensues. Chaos. And I want to go to the, okay, I guess he was in plain clothes, but here we go. Let's see. Fear and anger spread. So anyway, so chaos ensues. People go crazy. They go so crazy that the mayor actually had to tell people not to start attacking people. In fact, here, I have it right here. Where is, here it is. This is Mayor Fry and the super woke chief of police telling people they have to stop rioting, which they don't want to do, but now it's gotten to the point where they have to stop rioting.
My name is Brian O'Hara, BRIANO''HARA. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. At 6:51 p.m., Minneapolis police received a 911 call reporting a shooting on the 600 block of 24 Avenue North. Preliminary information indicates that there was a struggle with a federal agent in front of the resident. During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking one adult male. The adult male then retreated inside of the residence, where he remained inside and refused to come out. Eventually, federal agents made entry into the residence, and the individual was brought to an ambulance where he has been transported to the hospital. Minneapolis police have secured the crime scene around the location, and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as well as the FBI, are on the scene processing the evidence.
Here comes the good part.
There's a crowd gathered in the area, and we have called for mutual aid from the Minnesota State Patrol and Hennepin County Sheriff. The crowd is engaging in unlawful acts. They have thrown fireworks at police officers, and at multiple times, gas has been deployed. Police are attempting to disperse this unlawful assembly at this time.
Unlawful assembly.
I urge anyone that is at the scene to leave immediately. This is already a very tense situation, and we do not need this to escalate any further. I have faith that the investigators are involved will follow every lead in this case.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Unlawful assembly. That's different than the peaceable assembly guaranteed by, look, I got it right here. Right here in the Constitution, right? Here we go. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. But this was clearly an unlawful, illegal, non-peaceful assembly by who? The folks in Minnesota. The same folks that Governor Walz and Mayor Fry and this Brian O'Hallahan guy have been telling people. They've been exacerbating that. They've been telling people, go out there, get in their face. They've been telling people, push back. They've been telling people, you don't have to take it. They've been saying ICE is the enemy. They've been saying ICE has to go. They've sued the federal government to get ICE to leave their city. And now there's another shooting. Now there's a crowd. They're tear gassing people. They're shooting fireworks. And these guys are like, oh, now we got to get up and say, please leave. Now that we've encouraged this rowdy crowd to start attacking ICE agents and they're doing it now as law enforcement agents, we have to not give Donald Trump any more ammunition, because guess what? Donald Trump will win. You know, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Donald Trump will win. He has the power of the federal government and he's not afraid to use it. And if you think he's not afraid to use it, just ask Iran. Just ask Maduro. Just ask any of those people that are in the boats that you can't ask because they're all dead. Donald Trump posts on Truth Social, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE, who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Donald Trump is not backing down. Donald Trump will take over. Donald Trump took over Washington, D.C. because Big Balls got carjacked. You think he's not going to take over Minnesota because ICE officers have to shoot people in the legs to subdue them? Here's another thing, too. Do you remember, and you should because it wasn't that long ago, last week when the lesbian woman Was it last week or was it Monday? When was it? Was it Monday? God, this week goes by so fast. Do you remember last week when the lesbian woman drove into the ICE agent and he shot and killed her? And everybody was saying, why did you have to shoot and kill her? Everybody was saying, why did you shoot her in the head? Why didn't you shoot her in the leg? That's what you always hear. You always hear that whenever a cop kills somebody. And it happens all the time. It happens here in Florida, which, not all that often, but it does happen. And they always go, why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Just shoot him in the leg. Why do you have to kill him? Why do you have to shoot him in the head? Why do you have to shoot him in the chest? And the answer to that is because police are trained. And I asked, I've been trained I've been to the gun range. I've talked to the police. I've talked to the people who instruct the police on how to shoot people. And they're trained to shoot them and subdue them. They're trained to use deadly force. Now, imagine, if you will, you're standing there and there's a perp and you can shoot them in this big area right in the middle or try to shoot them in one of two skinny areas down low. It's much easier to shoot them in the middle. Also, if you shoot them right here and they have a weapon, they're going to drop it or they're going to drop to the ground. It's going to subdue the perp. If you shoot them in the leg, they could still shoot back. They could, they're going to go down, but they're going to be like, you shot me in the leg, you B-word. The police are trained to stop people from committing crimes. Stop or I'll shoot. I'm going to keep driving into you. Bang. That's basically the training. That's how you keep yourself and everybody else safe. And so they're trained to shoot in whatever area they can to stop the perpetrator. But everyone's like, shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the leg. So last night, this cop actually goes, fine, I'll shoot him in the leg. Bang. Guy's still alive. But everybody's still upset. And I go, wait a minute. You told them. You told ICE. You told everybody. You said, just shoot him in the leg. And they finally did. And they're still not happy. You just can't, you know what? That proves to me that you just can't please anybody. You cannot please these people. If they run around going, shoot him in the leg, and the ICE guy goes, fine, bang. And the Venezuelan guy goes, me leg, whatever. And they're still rioting and they're still, illegally assembling and firing firecrackers at police officers and ICE agents. Then they're never going to be happy. They're also never going to be happy because then they'll stop getting paid. Tim Walz had a live stream address and I saw I forget who posted this online, but somebody wrote, Tim Walz had a live stream address and the audio visual department was clearly from the Leering Center.
So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, and I know it's end this occupation. That we all have to defend. You've done enough. Justice and humanity. Let me say four critical things to the people of Minnesota. Four things I want you to hear as you watch the news and look out for your neighbors.
Okay, now you can hear it's repeating, right? Like he's saying and then he's repeating. And again, I'm not one to say that technical difficulties don't happen, because they do. I'm not one to say, oh, what an idiot, he's looping on himself, because I loop on myself at least once a week. And thank you to everyone in the chat who goes just ballistic and goes, Mark, it sounds horrible. God, what is happening? 2 marks are way worse than 1. I appreciate all your comments. But I am also one guy in one Patriot HQ in Mar-a-Lago, in illustrious downtown Jacksonville. I'm one dude. I am not the governor of Minnesota, a former vice presidential nominee. I am not a guy who has the complete assets of the governor's mansion and the studio and television stations and everything. This is not, I do pretty well for one guy. The fact that I only loop myself once a week or so, but I mean, this guy, this is why I pointed out. But we did get a clean feed. Listen to him just lie about just lie. This is lying tampon Tim Walz lying about what's happening. And this is why there's illegal protests erupting in Minneapolis.
Going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools, they're breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans.
Minnesotans.
Kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process. Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened. And yet, instead of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death, the Trump administration is devoting the full power of the federal government to finding an excuse to attack the victim and her family.
Yeah, that's not true, by the way. Donald Trump spoke about the victim and her family yesterday in Detroit. Anyway, the guy's just lying about everything. And he's trying to save face. He's trying to run cover. He's trying to make himself not the agitator in the situation. He's trying to make it that he's trying to get people to believe that he is on the side of right and not wrong, that he has some kind of concern or care about what's happening in the world. And he doesn't. All he's worried about is his own legacy and not going to jail. And he realizes that he is the problem and not the solution. He understands that his own party has abandoned him. He understands that by trying to placate the left, the far left-wing lunatics in his party, he has actually turned them into a criminal thug mob, and that they are attacking innocent law enforcement agents, and he could probably be held accountable for that. And man, now that Donald Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act and take over Minnesota, guess what? The first thing he's going to do is march right into the mayor's office and then the governor's mansion and say, "You guys have screwed this up. I'm in control." It would totally just, castrate. I don't know. Could you castrate somebody that doesn't have any? Never mind. It would totally make inadequate Tim Walz, Mayor Fry, and this other guy in Minneapolis. And Donald Trump would do exactly what he did in Washington, D.C. and Memphis, Tennessee, and everywhere else. He would bring in the National Guard. He would put the military in charge, and he would make sure that all of these insurrections were squashed. And ICE would come in, and they would get rid of everybody. And that's why the Democrats are panicking. All the Democrats are panicking. In fact, what's his name? Sri Thanadar, Representative Sri Thanadar from Michigan, is introducing a bill to abolish ICE. And the only reason I bring it up is because he makes me laugh.
ICE is beyond reform. ICE is totally out of control. And this week, I intend to introduce a bill to abolish ICE. We need to make ICE go away.
We need to make ICE go away. Go away, ICE. ICE, go away. Come again some other day.
ICE is beyond reform.
Beyond reform.
ICE is totally out of control. And this week, I intend to introduce a bill to abolish ICE. We need to make ICE go away.
Go away. He makes me laugh so much. I like it when I want a good laugh, I just Google Sri Thanadar. And it works. I found there's the clip of him. He also, you may remember, he also was the one that tried to invoke the impeachment articles against President Donald Trump. And then there were people that were like, whoa, we got to wait till we have the majority. And he was like, I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. Donald Trump must go away. ICE must go away. These people must go away. Ilhan Omar also finds herself consistently on yesterday we played this clip from this reporter, and this is what this Lindell TV, man. I don't know. Maybe I got to get a deal with Lindell TV. Maybe I'll join forces with Mike Lindell because I really like the way he does things. Mike Lindell has this Lindell TV, and this reporter, I should probably know her name. Maybe it's, well, we'll find it. Maybe, you know what? Let's click. I really want to give her credit because she's really good. Here it is. After running into Representative Ilhan Omar was confronting. They don't even share her name. So anyway, this was yesterday. We showed you this woman, this blonde woman. She was walking down the corridor with Ilhan Omar, and Ilhan Omar accused her of lying and said, $9 billion. No, it's not $9 billion. What are you talking about? And so she hunted him down again. hunted her down again and said, hey, listen, you told me it wasn't $9 billion, but I brought the receipts.
Congresswoman Omar, yesterday you told me to please read when I asked you about the $9 billion fraud that you denied is happening, but I have it right here. I read. Look, Chairman Comer opens hearing on massive fraud scandal, $9 billion.
That's what Comer believes because he's as smart as you are.
It's not just Comer. It's Scott Besson. It's federal prosecutors. It's House Oversight. And
no
it's Minnesota State reps.
You could have that, ma'am. I think you need to get examined because your brain has been fried in some way, and it's not okay. I really hope you get some help. You and the Republicans here. Take care, okay, ma'am?
I'm sorry I couldn't go to the learning centers that you're running over in Minnesota, but I think you should perhaps read what's actually.
Need one of those learning centers.
I need one of those learning centers.
Yes, see it.
Congresswoman.
Okay, there you go.
Yesterday.
So that she's still continuing to deny what everybody has proven to be sound fact. And she's still trying to deny the fact that there's been billions of dollars of fraud coming from her district, coming from there in Minnesota. And it is, by the way, this redheaded girl, this Peppermint Patty looking girl who works with Ilhan Omar, feel bad for her. I mean, I guess she knows what she's up to, but could you imagine being Ilhan Omar's personal assistant? That would just be, God, that would just be horrible. That'd be like, that's almost like public work. You know how like you have to go to a public work program if you break the law, or you it's part of your rehabilitation. You have to do community service. That's what it is. Like usually when there's community service, what happens is they have to like, clean up the trash on the side of the road or go work at the library or something like that. But nowadays, community service should be having to work with Ilhan Omar. Or having to work with like Rashida Tlaib or one of those people. Anyway, now there is a live press briefing going on. I've decided, we talked about this last week, and the jury's still out. Sometimes I would take the live press briefings and people were like, why are we taking these live press briefings? Sometimes I wouldn't take the live press briefings and people would say, why aren't we taking the live press briefing? So I decided to just air the clips of the live press briefing instead of taking the live press briefing live. And some people are still complaining. So you know what? It's one of those, like I'm going to lose. But I will say this, there are clips coming out from the live press briefing, and I did want to share with you this one, which is Caroline Leavitt addressing all of the economic boons that we've seen since President Donald Trump has come back into office.
President Trump is making America affordable again through his proven economic formula of powerful tariffs, fair trade deals, massive middle-class tax cuts, energy dominance, and aggressive deregulation. The overwhelmingly positive economic data released this week underscores the significant progress the president has already delivered. Tuesday's CPI report marked the latest confirmation that President Trump has defeated Joe Biden's inflation crisis. Since President Trump took office, core CPI has increased at just a 2.4% annualized rate, substantially lower than the 3.3% annual rate inherited from the Biden administration last January.
Yeah, so Donald Trump's killing it basically on the economy is what she starts off with. Then there were some questions I wanted to get to. Here we go. Now is Riley Gaines, I think is there as the new, she's like the new media person, I think, today.
If the Supreme Court rules as anticipated in favor of maintaining these sex-based rights, is the administration prepared to take action against the states? I believe at this point it's 23 states that don't have those protections for women?
Absolutely. And as you know, Riley, the administration already has done so. We've taken action in a number of fronts against these states who are failing to uphold the president's executive orders in this administration's policy of simply protecting women in women's sports and in women's private spaces. We've gone to the mat with large universities in this country as well to try to fight for what's fair and what's just for women and girls across the country. So I know you were at the arguments. I listened to them myself as a woman and as a former athlete, and I think the president speaks on common sense on this issue, that women's sports and private spaces should be protected, and that there are two genders, there are two sexes. That is not something we should be afraid to say in this country. And I think, frankly, it was quite alarming to not only hear a couple of justices gravel over that basic, fundamental, biological fact that men and women are different but inherently equal, but we are certainly different, and women deserve such rights. We hope and expect that the Supreme Court will rule in the right way on this matter.
And we pretty much much. I mean, it's got to be a 9-1 or at least, a 9-0 or at least an 8-1. There was a clip yesterday I didn't get to, and it was Josh Hawley, Josh Hawley's an interesting bird these days. Josh Hawley from Missouri. He's an interesting bird, but I'll play you this clip first. This was the clip from yesterday. We didn't get to it, but basically what happened was there was a doctor who was being interviewed, or I guess interrogated, in front of the Senate subcommittee. And Josh Hawley asked, can men get pregnant? Listen to this back and forth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
There are many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So, can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you. You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert, and you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying.
I mean, it goes on for like 5 more minutes. It goes on for 5 more minutes. And it just, and it's given me serious Ketanji Brown Jackson vibes. Although Ketanji Brown Jackson was asked, what's a woman by Marsha Blackburn. And she goes, I'm not a doctor. Here's a doctor. And I can't even answer the question, can men get pregnant? Would you go to a doctor that doesn't know that men can't get pregnant? I mean, I feel like I don't know the first thing that they teach you in medical school. I never went to medical school. I never went to law school either, but I did get waitlisted by one of the top law schools in the country. But medical school, I think, I don't know if it's day one. I don't know if you have to declare like a gynecological obstetrics type, major, but I'm pretty sure when you dissect, the pig or the fetal pig or the goat or whatever it is they're dissecting, the frogs, I think that's when you learn, here's the boy parts, here's the girl parts. The boys, help make the babies, but they don't have the babies. I mean, I think I learned that in health class when I was in 6th grade. No, I probably learned it from like a Cinemax After Dark movie when I was in like 5th grade. So there you go. I mean, Skinemax, they called it, I think. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We don't need to go into my past. We just need to figure out but anyway, so that's what this whole thing is about. And the Supreme Court, I imagine, will rule pretty clearly. Ketanji Brown Jackson may be the only dissenting vote. I would love to I'm going to read the whole dissent. If there's a dissenting opinion on the men and women's sports ruling from the Supreme Court, I just can't wait. Surely one of the other women on the court, I know Democrat, Republican, I get it. I know that Amy Coney Barrett, in the eyes of a lot of people, is this religious zealot, but also a lot of times she votes against common sense. So there's, it's up in the air. I get that Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan are like, they're probably the OG, type liberal women on the bench. But surely to God, if this woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, tries to dissent to this ruling about men and women's sports, one of them, out of common decency, is going to pull them aside and be like, sister, do not do that. Like, girlfriend, you are going to make a mockery of all of us if you dissent. You are going to make a mockery of yourself. You're going to make a mockery of the other Democrats on this bench. You're going to make a mockery of Joe Biden. The whole DEI hire thing's going to come back up again. Just do not do it. Just go along with the majority on this one because you're going to lose. I imagine that's what I imagine would happen. But again, you can never tell. You can never tell with these Democrats. You really never know what they're going to do. Donald Trump, by the way, is still attacking the left-wing media, which is great. CNN, it's almost like he's got this renewed vim and vigor when it comes to attacking CNN. He's really back. He's really into it again. He loves it. I mean, he always enjoyed it, but I feel like he's really doubling down on it. And a reporter asked him, he was talking about Greenland and talking about Greenland's national security. And one of these reporters asked him, said, it sounds like you're going to attack Greenland. And Donald Trump's like, what? Who are you listening to?
Right now, it sounds like you are saying that you would potentially acquire Greenland by force. That would be a NATO country.
Are you saying that?
Are you saying that? Would you do that?
No, you're saying that.
Would you acquire
I didn't
that by
say it.
force
No,
right
you're
now?
telling me that that's what I'm going to do. You don't know what I'm going to do.
So what are the options?
Your
then?
network
Because
doesn't know either.
The Danish foreign minister said that there's still fundamental differences after the meeting with Rubio and with the vice president. Are you willing to leave the NATO alliance in order to get what you want with Greenland? What are the options right now?
Well, I wouldn't be telling you what I'm willing to do, certainly. I'm not going to give up options, but it's very important. Greenland's very important for the national security, including of Denmark. And the problem is not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. You found that out last week with Venezuela. There's everything we can do about things such as that. Not going to happen. We're not, I can't rely on Denmark being able to fend themselves off. They were talking about they put an extra dog, and they were serious about this. They put an extra dog sled there last month. They added a second dog sled. That's not going to do the trick.
Denmark fought alongside the United States in both Afghanistan.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. I have a very good relationship with Denmark, and we'll see how it all works out. I think something will work out.
Thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. Denmark fought alongside the United States. Oh, really? Thank you. Thank you for telling me who our allies are. Thank you for telling me, the president of the United States, who our allies are, CNN reporter. The other thing, I think it was CNN. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure it was CNN. The other thing is Donald Trump's like, look, I'll be honest with you, get NATO schmado. Who cares at this point? We are NATO. You hear this argument all the time. If Donald Trump invades Greenland, if we take Greenland by force, NATO is done. We've declared war on one of our NATO allies and NATO will be abolished. NATO is the United States of America. They should just call it the United States of NATO, because that's what it is. We've all seen the charts. We all know how much money the United States puts in toward NATO. Donald Trump has said it himself. He goes, we're the only NATO alliance nation that's way over here. NATO was formed because of Russia. Russia, bad. Communism, bad. Spreading communism into Europe, bad. So they formed the NATO alliance to protect basically Poland and parts of Germany and other places, but basically it was all the countries that bordered China or Russia at the time. That's why NATO exists. It's so that European countries can feel safe under the blanket of protection that the United States of America provides, along with 99% of the money. So if we take Greenland and NATO says NATO's over, so what? NATO doesn't do anything for us. That's how Donald Trump knows NATO's not going to do anything. Nobody's going to do anything. If Donald Trump sent the 82nd Airborne and the Marines and Delta Force and, I don't know, what's his name? Paul Blart Mall Cop to Greenland tomorrow and said, it's now ours, nobody would do a thing. They'd send the dog sleds after us. And the 82nd Airborne would throw some kibble out and be like, here, boy. And, and they'd all stop and start eating. Nobody would do a thing. Donald Trump knows that. Greenland knows that. Denmark knows that. NATO knows that. NATO is not going to declare war on the United States of America over Greenland, especially since the United States of America owning Greenland is in the benefit of everybody. Doug Burgum, the Secretary of the Interior, was talking about that.
Well, Sean, who knew that posting a factual map of Alaska and Greenland would be triggering to those folks that do not fully understand the importance of Greenland and the strategic nature of protecting United States of America. Think about Alaska, which we also purchased, is so strategic now, both in terms of energy, but also in terms of our military bases there. And the same thing with Greenland. These are like two bookends that protect North America. And as you know, today, we're in an era of unmanned warfare. Through my life growing up in North Dakota, we were filled with missiles because of the over-the-Arctic attack that could become. We were the defensive front line for protecting America. But early detection matters, and having that position in Greenland and Alaska is critical to the safety. As President Trump said today, the great leadership that he's providing Commander-in-Chief, the Golden Dome, we need Greenland to make sure the Golden Dome is going to protect America.
Yeah, and that's, let me show you this map. So I'm trying to pull up this map that Doug Burgum shared a map, and it said the new interior. And it was, where is it? Hold on, let me find it for you. And it was basically exactly what he said. Strategically, for the United States of America, it showed, no, it's showing me car interiors. The new interior of the Honda Civic. Where is it? Where's this map? Come on, you'd think that I'd be, anyway, let's go to Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum. I don't know that I follow Doug Burgum. Oh, here he is, Secretary Doug Burgum. Yeah, there we go. All right, so Secretary Doug Burgum shared this map the other day. Here it is, the new interior. And it's got Nuuk, Greenland, Washington, D.C., Anchorage, Alaska. And basically what he's saying is the United States of America would be comfortably settled between these two places, Anchorage, Alaska, Nuuk, Greenland. And when you have, because you're looking at basically the westernmost and the easternmost point on the map for North America, what you have is now you have a strategic situation where you can place missiles and missile defense systems and any other kind of nuclear submarines, whatever we want. We can place them in these places. And in Alaska, we're pretty much set. Greenland would be huge for us, for everybody, not just the United States of America, but also Canada, also Europe, also Mexico, also everybody. You want us to have Greenland because we would use it for a strategic defense system that would maintain our superiority over bad people like Iran, like Russia, like China. He posted this map and then he got all this kinds of blowback about the new interior. And Donald Trump's like, look, this is not really negotiable. I'm not saying I'm going to invade, but it's not, there's a reason why Greenland and Denmark flew all the way to Washington, D.C. to meet with Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance.
We're going to see what happens with Greenland. We need Greenland for national security, so we're going to see what happens. They're going to brief me on the meeting right after this conference. In fact, the sooner I get you out, the faster I'm going to know exactly what happened. But we have a very good relationship with Denmark, as you know. We'll see. But, we're doing the Golden Dome. We're doing a lot of things, and we really need it. If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in, and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
What they can do then?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, look, we're going to see what happens, but we need it. I'm not the first one. This was talked about by President Truman, and 40 years before President Truman, they were talking about it. They've been talking about this for 100 years. This is not anything so new. A lot of people don't realize that. This was a hot subject, probably not as hot as it is now, but it was a hot subject for a long time. We need it for national security, and that includes for Europe. And I spoke with, as you know, Mark, the head of NATO, and he really wants to see something happen. It's very important for national security.
Yeah. So that's basically what Donald Trump's reiterating, that NATO and Europe and everybody, something's going to happen. China or Russia are going to take Greenland. We saw what happened with Ukraine. If you don't think Russia's going to take Greenland, they took Ukraine, and Ukraine has an actual army, and they've been fighting. How many Russians are dead? And Vladimir Putin just doesn't care. You don't think he's going to wipe out 50,000 people in Greenland and a couple of dog sleds? 100% he'll do it. And Donald Trump knows that, and so does Europe. It's all bluster. It's all just kerfuffle. We could take it tomorrow. Nobody would do a thing. Denmark would probably be happy that we took it off their hands. They wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. Think about France. France sold us, the Louisiana Purchase, right? They're probably like, dude, sell it to them. Take the money and run, right? Wait, was it Louisiana we bought? Yeah, we bought, why am I blanking? Yes, Louisiana, we bought from the French. Alaska, we bought from the Russians. And they wish they had it back. So It's not unheard of to sell the United States of America land. The Russians are probably looking at the Danish going, stupid Danish people, they could have millions in Donald Trump money. They could have gold cards for all to come to the United States. They could do whatever they want. It's just Greenland. Like there's literally, I mean, no offense, nothing there. It's ice. Ice, baby. Doon, 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 bing, bing. Sorry, I've Googled picture of it. It's not, there's literally nothing there. Donald Trump also said something about this, I don't know if you heard about this leaker, but there was a leaker at the Pentagon who shared information about Venezuela with a Washington Post reporter. And the Washington Post reporter's home was searched by federal agents, the FBI and so on and so forth. And then everyone was like, Donald Trump's attacking the media. He's going after journalists for just doing their job. No, Donald Trump is trying to track down leakers at the Pentagon who are illegally sending out top secret classified information. And guess what? They're getting arrested.
The leaker has been found and is in jail right now. And that's the leaker on Venezuela. And a very bad leaker. So there could be some others, and we'll let you know about that. We're out on their trail. But the leaker has been found, and the leaker's in jail. And will probably be in jail for a long time. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a whole, jury of your peers and all that kind of stuff. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not going to, I'm not going to speak for Donald Trump. Maybe there'll be a jury of your peers. Maybe not. But the leaker is in jail. And Caroline Leavitt apparently was just asked about this at the press briefing. Yeah, here we go.
Since this is an active investigation, I don't want to comment on it much more than what we did yesterday to obviously confirm the investigation. And I can confirm what the Attorney General stated and the President as well, which is that the individual, unfortunately, a contractor at the Pentagon, chose to unlawfully leak classified and very serious information to this Washington Post reporter. Hence why the reporter's home was looked into by the FBI, rightfully so. And the administration is not going to tolerate leaks, especially from within the national security apparatus of the United States government, that put our nation's integrity and our national security at risk. Full stop. The president will not support that. I know the Secretary of War will not support that, and it will not stand. And legal action will be taken against anyone, whether it's a member of the press or whether it's an employee for a federal agency who breaks the law. If you break the law and if you endanger our men and women in uniform, you are going to be held accountable, period, full stop.
Yeah, and we're going to look, and we're going to run. Did I even show that? Maybe I played it. I guess I didn't show it. My bad. Here, you guys want to play it again?
Since this is an active investigation, I don't want to comment on it much more than what we did yesterday to obviously confirm the investigation, and I can confirm what the Attorney General stated and the President as well, which is that the individual, unfortunately, a contractor at the Pentagon, chose to unlawfully leak classified and very serious information to this Washington Post reporter. Hence why the reporter's home was looked into by the FBI, rightfully so. And the administration is not going to tolerate leaks, especially from within the national security apparatus of the United States government, that put our nation's integrity and our national security at risk. Full stop. The president will not support that. I know the Secretary of War will not support that, and it will not stand. And legal action will be taken against anyone, whether it's a member of the press or whether it's an employee for a federal agency who breaks the law. If you break the law and if you endanger our men and women in uniform, you are going to be held accountable, period, full stop.
Full stop. Yeah, there you go. So that's basically what Caroline Leavitt said. And that reiterates, what the president said. This is not a, hey, we don't like the media and the way they report on Venezuela. This is, hey, somebody got illegal information or got information that should not have been shared. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. This is Laura Loomer. This is exactly why she is now a Pentagon news reporter, or what Loomer Unleashed is an official Pentagon news source. Because you may remember that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he went to all of these media outlets and he said, hey guys, listen, you can no longer just wander around freely at the Pentagon. Because we have information, there's top secret documents, there's people you're talking to. We know that a lot of you are trying to get top secret documents from people that work here, and we don't like that, and we don't want that, and we're trying to stop that. And a lot of these news agencies went ballistic, and they were like, well, but I'm a reporter. and we're a news agency, and we have the right to, we can go wherever we want. That was what they were saying. And the fact of the matter is that's just not true. You don't have the right to go wherever you want. Good luck with that. I've tried it, by the way. When I was at the DNC, and that's the Democratic National Convention back in 2016, I literally walked out on the stage beforehand because I wanted to count the number of American flags because there was a report that there were no American flags. And fun fact, there weren't any the first night. So the second night, I'm walking around. I go, I'm just going to go out on stage and count the flags. And I walked behind stage. I just waved to everybody. I had my camera. I walked out on stage and I stood on stage. And there's people everywhere. Like the convention wasn't live at that moment, but there's people there. There's cops. There's Democrats. There's, which is weird because usually cops and Democrats hate each other, but they were all there. And I'm standing on stage and I'm talking like, there were no flags. And after like 5 minutes, someone finally came up and said, excuse me. And I go, yeah. And they go, you can't be there. And I go, what do you mean? And they go, you can't be on stage. And I said, oh yeah, no, it's easy. I just walked from over there. They're like, no, you're not allowed to be on stage. And I go, oh, okay, I'll leave. And I left. I didn't go, but I'm with the radio media person. I can do whatever I want. I didn't do any of that because I knew, like I'm not an idiot. I knew I wasn't supposed to be on stage. I took my chances and I won. And when I was asked to leave, I went. These people didn't do that. So what did they do? They turned in their credentials and they said, if you're not going to let us walk around the Pentagon and talk to whomever we want and try to get our grubby little paws on top secret documents that we have no business knowing about, then we're out of here. And Pete Hegseth said, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And they left. And he went on, I think he went on Twitter. Did he go on Twitter? I don't know where it was. I saw I didn't apply because I got stuff here going on, but I didn't apply, but I know a lot of people who did. He said, hey, does anyone want to be a reporter? Does anyone want press space here at the Pentagon? And Laura Loomer was like, oh, me. And now she's got a desk at the Pentagon and she flies on the plane with Pete Hegseth and she's a pool reporter for the Pentagon and the media is apoplectic about it. But then lo and behold, the media gets busted helping a leaker leak sensitive information about a military action in Venezuela involving American servicemen and women that could have endangered lives. And now we're like, oh, maybe that's why they kicked them all out of the Pentagon. Now it makes sense. Now I get it. Why don't they just shoot him in the leg? Now I get it. Speaking of shooting in the leg, here's a clip from Caroline Leavitt moments ago about what happened with ICE.
To your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women. And I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce the law. And the Democrat Party has demeaned these individuals. They've even referred to them as Nazis and as the Gestapo. And that is absolutely leading to the violence we're seeing in the streets. If you look at some of the images out of Minneapolis last night, look at this vehicle. Look at what it says. It says F ICE. You have these individuals who are putting their middle finger, proudly so, at the camera. Another ICE individual, a vehicle that was vandalized last night by these left-wing agitators. People don't do this without encouragement from people in power who make them feel like it's okay. Here's another one. And I'm pretty sure this car, you can't see it, said the best agent is a dead agent or something to that effect. This is despicable rhetoric that we're seeing, and the media is absolutely complicit in this violence because if you look at the headline from CNN, protests erupt after federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, that is not the story, that is not the truth. If you actually want to know the truth, you can look at what the Department of Homeland Security released, which is that this ICE agent was executing a targeted operation against a Venezuelan illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country, who fled by car and then fled by foot. And when this ICE agent tried to detain the individual, 3 more of his comrades came rushing out of a house and started ambushing and attacking the ICE agent. They used a shovel or a broom to smash his face in. And so yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
All right, there you go. So that's Caroline Levitt saying, yeah, this is a problem. And I like how she used the word comrade. She goes, 3 of his comrades, because we all know they're socialists, came out and started beating up the ICE agent with a shovel and a broomstick. And she said, you know what you should really do? Instead of demonizing these ICE agents and these ICE officers, you should take them out for coffee. You should take them out for an iced coffee. Thank you very Let's go get a cup of iced coffee. It's Minneapolis in January. You want to take them out for a hot cup of coffee or a hot cocoa or something like that. But she's saying, look, take them out, get to know them. These are good. These are Americans. They're fighting crime. They're fighting to protect other American citizens. They're not bad people. They're ICE agents, and they're not going anywhere. So you should probably stop exacerbating the situation, and you should make it better for everybody because we're all on the same side. Well, actually, we're not. In fact, something happened in Congress yesterday which made Tim Burchett madder than hell. And if Tim Burchett is madder than hell, you should be too. And I'm going to tell you about that here in just a minute. But first, I would like to share with you some interesting information that I looked at just before the show today, and that was the price of gold currently. Look at this. Gold right now is at, I'm going to show this to you. Ready? Gold right now is at $46.22 an ounce. That's $4,600 an ounce. I looked 1 year ago. It was at $2,700, which means gold has gone up in price $1,900 in 1 year. If you bought 1 ounce of gold last year, it would have cost you $2,700. Now it would be worth $4,700 almost, which is almost double. It's close, almost like 80% increase. Now, I don't know if you know about inflation. Inflation's bad, but it's not 80% bad. Gold is a solid investment. If you look at Bitcoin, this chart's not going to look like this. If you look at the stock market, this chart's not going to look like that. That's why when I talk about places like Augusta Precious Metals and their gold IRA, I do it because I know that what they're telling you is the truth. There is a secret that thousands of Americans are using, and it's gold. And look, I could sit here and I could talk about it all the time. I could talk about how easy it is. I could talk about their A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I could talk about all these people like Brian P. Thanks to Augusta, I feel confident about retirement. I finally have the peace of mind to travel, enjoy time with my family, and embrace the next chapter. Fast, easy, reliable. All this stuff that's going on here. I could tell you all about that, but the best thing to do is go to markswealthstrategy.com. That's our new website, markswealthstrategy.com, and you can get your free gold guide. You just put in your name, your email address, your phone number, you get the free gold guide, and it's really great. I mean, it's not just one gold guide. You get a whole bunch of stuff, and you can learn all about it, and you can figure out, gee, if I put my money in gold instead of, I don't know, stupid coin or whatever, I don't know, dumb coin or whatever, Pokemon, I don't know, whatever coins there are out there. If I put my money in gold instead of dumb coin, how much richer would I be today? How much more secure would there's a reason why gold continues to go up and up and up while everything else fluctuates. And that's why Augusta Precious Metals is the place you need to go. And the best thing to do is go to markswealthstrategy.com. That's the website address, markswealthstrategy.com. Instead of dumb coin. If you're not, oh, pardon me, I just clicked the wrong button. If you're not near your phone, you can text the word wealth. I mean, if you're not near your computer, you can text the word wealth to 35052. Text the word wealth to 35052. Just start with that free gold guide. It's great. It's so much fun and there's a lot of photos. There's a lot of pictures. It's not just like boring text. There's a lot of pictures that you can look at too, which is why I really love it. markswealthstrategy.com. The link is in the description of this video as well. I would urge you to go do that. If you click on it, it'll open up a new browser so you can download your gold guide and still listen to the show. You're not going to miss anything. All right, let's talk a little bit about Tim Burchett. Tim Burchett is fiery, man. He is madder than hell. And he's not going to take it anymore. And the reason Tim Burchett is mad is because Democrats and Republicans got together to support something that Doge decided that that should be no longer. Let me see if I want to see if I can find this one clip from Tim Burchett. It was at 5:30 in the morning. He posts a lot of clips, this guy, which is what I've here it is. Tim Burchett, 5:30 in the morning. He posts this clip, 5:45 a.m. Listen carefully.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. A little early this morning. I was headed to the gym and I was thinking this morning about the constant argument.
Hold on. Oh, what did I just, my big fat finger. I was trying to make it bigger. That's what she said. Hold on. All right, hold on. I got it. Hang on. Let me go back to the clip here. Tim Burchett, by the way, we're very similar in our philosophies. He goes to the gym and I don't. That's where we differ. But I know where the gym is. I know where the gym is. I just don't go there. Let me play you this clip. So this was 5:45 a.m. Listen to how aggravated he is here.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. A little early this morning. I was headed to the gym and I was thinking this morning about the constant argument is always when a bunch of us vote against this stuff. They say, oh, if we kill the bill, it'll shut the government down. You know, they always back you up against the wall. And why the heck do we put it in there? We're the majority. The spending overseas, the funding of these rogue judges, these incredibly liberal organizations we know are just destroying our country. Why in the hell did we put this stuff in there? It's just ridiculous. And here we are spending the money. We're in the majority. And, and the leadership gives the left everything. It just doesn't make it. It's always that way. I don't care who's in power. And then they reward bad behavior, folks that are put that voted with the Democrats to give the insurance companies all this dadgum money. And once again, we're right back. It's just the same old deal, like when they put us up against the wall and say, "Oh, it's right at Christmas." It's just the same nonsense. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. We got to do what we said we're going to do. We funded a bunch of stuff the president did not want in there, and just thumbs our nose at him and the American people that sent us here to do better. We got to do better. Anyway, going to work out. Thank y'all for sending me here.
This is my I love this, by the way. This is such to go off on a tangent here about Tim Burchett. This guy is a masterclass in branding. He, first of all, the coat, the barn jacket, the LL Bean barn jacket from 1997 that we all had. I had this exact same jacket. Everybody had the LL Bean barn jacket. I had this exact color. Some people had ones that were like a rust color. Others had the green. Some had brown. I had the Tim Burchett. That jacket has not changed in many years, just like Tim Burchett. So that's part of the branding. He always wears the same uniform, the same look, the same style of video. Always uses the word dadgum. Every Tim Burchett video has at least one, sometimes multiple dadgums. And then he ends it, no matter how despondent and no matter how angry he is, no matter how downtrodden he is by what's going on in Washington, D.C., he always ends with, "Thanks for sending me here," in that Sling Blade-ish tone that he's got. Tim Burchett knows how to brand himself, and he does a great job. Now, why is he so angry? He's so angry because Republicans are horrible. And Republicans are awful, and Republicans do dumb things. And there's another video from Mike Lee of Utah, who is upset. And I know what you're saying, but Mike Lee's in the Senate. Yes, but Mike Lee is angry with the Republicans in the Congress because 81 Republicans in the Congress voted with Democrats. Think about it. This is the problem. This is why we have an issue with the Republican Party. This is why Tim Burchett gets so mad. This is why all these people get so mad. It's because you have a group of Republicans in the majority in the House of Representatives, slim, but it's there. Majority in the Senate and Washington, D.C. and the White House. Donald Trump is the president, so he'll sign into law any conservative Republican legislation that we send his way. But what happens? Republicans vote with the Democrats. And there was a measure to defund NED, the National Endowment for Democracy. And the NED is about exactly what it sounds like. A bogus left-wing organization that was created to funnel your tax dollars into other countries and the pockets of various different interest groups and legislators and side hustlers and lawyers and special interests and all that other stuff. It's just like the USAID. In fact, the NED, the National Endowment for Democracy, was defunded by Doge. Elon Musk and Doge came in and they said, this is stupid. This is a waste of everyone's time and money. Why are we doing that? The NED, for example, they funded censorship in information and organizations and campaigns against conservatives. They were basically like, the fact checkers that would shut down your favorite YouTubers and your favorite live streamers and whatnot. The fact checkers that would come in and say, what you said is not a fact, when really it's just our opinion that is not a fact. All that kind of stuff. Well, they were funded by the NED, and in countries, what they do is they cause turmoil and they create problems in other countries, and they're very much an imperialistic organization, and they are not promoting American isolationism. What they're doing is they're getting America involved in longstanding wars. And so Doge said, we should not be spending our money on this at all. Cut off the funding. President Donald Trump signed an executive order saying, we should not be focused on this at all. We should not be funding this at all. And that executive order took all the money away from the NED. And then the NED sued and said, well, wait a minute. We want the money. We need the word. We deserve the money. They don't deserve anything. But what happened was the NED wanted their cash. They wanted their cash cow to continue. And so yesterday, as part of the process in getting the budget done, we have 81 Republicans who voted to fund the NED, and Mike Lee is furious.
Earlier this evening, the U.S. House of Representatives voted on a measure to defund the National Endowment for Democracy. Now, it's not as neutral, even-handed, or even benevolent as it might sound to some. This is, make no mistake, a leftist enterprise. Leftists everywhere are free to contribute to it if they choose to do so, but hardworking Americans shouldn't be forced by their government to contribute to causes that they find repugnant, including leftist enterprises like the NED. And yet, stunningly, 81 Republican members of the House of Representatives voted with all the Democrats tonight to keep that funding stream going. Your federal money going to that enterprise. Why? Now, look, I know there's reasonable opportunity for legitimate disagreement on many issues within the Republican Party. This should not be one of them. At some point, Republicans, you have to pick a horse and ride it. When you campaign for office as a Republican, you're standing for a few basic precepts. One of them is that the U.S. government is too big and too expensive because it's doing too many things it was never intended to do. And for the love of Pete, we should at least be able to agree that we shouldn't take money from hardworking Americans and give it to left-leaning enterprises that undercut everything we stand for.
Yeah, and that's what you can see. He's furious. He's very mad. He goes on and on for like another 2 minutes. 81 Republicans basically just took your money and gave it to a bunch of Democrats to do a bunch of liberal stuff here in the United States and around the globe. Why? I don't know. Guess who one of the 81 Republicans was? Here are some of the people, okay, that voted to backstab President Donald Trump, backstab Elon Musk, backstab the Doge, and backstab you, the American taxpayer who doesn't want your money going to fund these ridiculous liberal NGOs. Here are just a few. Ilhan Omar voted to keep it going. Jasmine Crockett voted to keep it going. Nancy Pelosi voted to keep it going. And oh yes, John Rutherford from Florida's 5th District was one of the 81 Republicans who voted in favor of funding the NED. He voted in favor of giving hundreds of millions of dollars. And he wasn't the only one. He was one of 81, but he was one of them. And I can't do anything about the other 80, but I can definitely do something about John Rutherford. He's running again this year. He should not be in Washington, D.C. He's voting with the enemy. He's reaching across the aisle. He's voting with Ilhan Omar. He's voting with Jasmine Crockett. That right there should disqualify anybody from calling themselves a Republican. He's voting with Nancy Pelosi. And he's voting against President Donald Trump, who he gladly accepted an endorsement from years ago. And he'll tell you all about the time Donald Trump endorsed him. And now Donald Trump says, I'm going to sign this executive order to defund the NED. And John Rutherford goes, not so fast, Mr. President. I'm going to vote to keep it going. Why? Well, I don't know for sure, but if you're going to vote for something like that, if you're going to vote for hundreds of millions of dollars to go to this NGO, odds are some of it's coming back to you somehow. maybe to the campaign, maybe personally, who knows? But John Rutherford voted with Ilhan Omar, with Jasmine Crockett, with Nancy Pelosi, with basically every other Democrat and 80 other rhino Republicans to fund the NED with your tax dollars. And Mike Lee can't believe it, and Tim Burchett is ridiculously angry about it, and you should be too. That's why we're mounting a campaign against him. More on that coming up here in just a little while. In the meantime, listen, thanks again for the 100K, the subscribers on YouTube. Thanks again for the 51K on Rumble. Thanks for the millions that follow us on Facebook and everywhere else. If you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate you. If you're not yet subscribed, do it now. Hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button. Make sure you tell every single platform that you can, I want this content and I want it all the freaking time. All you got to hit the ding-a-ling. If there's a little bell, just hit that bell. And that bell will tell whatever platform you're watching or listening to that you want more of Mark K Saves the Republic every single day, so that you can learn, so that you can stay informed, so that you know who's right, so you know who's wrong, so you know who's coming at you. And so you know when you'll be called upon to fight